Bismillah. طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وصلى الله على النبي. If there are any questions from the brothers or the sisters here, we'll try to entertain them now. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. If there are any questions from online for the brothers and the sisters, we'll try to take them as well. Please, as a friendly reminder, try your best to be respectful in your question, respectful to yourself, respectful to Allah first and foremost, respectful to yourself, respectful to the people watching and listening, and last but not least, respectful to the ones you ask a question. That's basic decency. Try your best, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, not to ask any questions that will get the masjid or the name of the masjid or the reputation in the masjid in any bad look. Me, really doesn't matter. It's too late for me to be, good and clean. I've already got in trouble with made too many enemies in and outside of the fold. But try not to ask any question that will be a bad look for the masjid. Very important. And reputation, name, honor, and dignity, these things are from Islam. There's no doubt about that. Irdihi, the person's ird, the name, all right? If you're asking from online, and please mention your city or your state, your initials first and last. And please don't ask any questions about any personalities. Good people, bad people, or ugly people. Good, bad, or ugly. It could be an imam of A'immat Ahl Sunnah, or it could be somebody fi ma duna dhalika. Try our best to minimize and to mitigate personality worship and the cult of personality worship, good or bad. You can worship a personality good, or you can worship it because they're so evil you talk about them 24/7. So we try to minimize that. The fitna, huh? Khairan inshallah. There aren't too many other rules besides that. And we'll try our best to keep the answers summarized, keep them simple, plain, easily understood. That way we can answer the greater number, inshallah. Wallahu a'lam. Fadl Isaiah.
What do you think is the proper approach between the two approaches? One saying, don't worry too much about political or sociological issues, focus on Tawheed Sunnah, and the other that says we just need to focus on unifying Muslims regardless of creedal stances.
Understood. Very good question. What is the balance, if any, for the two groups, the two extremes, right and left? Everything is about politics and sociology, current affairs, economics, etc., infrastructure, coming together, standing up, etc. Tawheed, Sunnah, Fiqh, Ahkam, Shafi'i, Abu Hanifa, that separates us, that keeps us busy. We're being killed and this and that. We have bigger, more important things to worry about and to tackle. Versus those who say the exact opposite. There should be no political dialogue or discussion whatsoever. Nothing of sociology. Just learn your creed, your aqidah, your fiqh, Mas'al al-Khufayn, Abu Hanifa, Ahmed, and that's sufficient. Pray over your sins, make tawbah, have the correct aqidah, and the world will change if and when Allah wants it to change. Is there a balance between these two? It's a very good question. And I commend you, Isaiah, for having the courage to ask this question. Because I'm sure there are many people who feel the same way, but are too scared or embarrassed, or don't have the guts to ask the question because they'll be labeled as a troublemaker, or a deviant, or this or that, or this or that. We all know, let's keep it real, right? People ask questions that you were thinking, I was thinking the same thing, but I wasn't going to ask it though. I had the same problem, but I ain't going to be the one to open a can of worms. So it takes someone who is brave. And we all know that the Sahaba, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, there was a time in which they were prohibited from asking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam anything. And a time in which they were prohibited from asking certain things at certain times. And this is why they would love when a Bedouin nomad came. One narration states, وَإِن كُنَّا لَنَتَمَنَّى الْأَعْرَابِ نَتَمَنَّاهُم. We were waiting for some ignorant, crude person to come and ask the Prophet about a thing because we couldn't. We were prohibited from asking that question. All right. First and foremost, to keep things simple, balance and moderation in all things. Balance and moderation. Too much of anything, too less of anything is bad, with exceptions to tea. Never too much tea, right, Shamli? No such thing as too much tea. Everything besides that, it has to be a what? Balance and moderation. And balance and moderation doesn't mean 50-50. It could be 60-40, it could be 70-30, it could be 80-20, but it has to be somewhat balance. So how can a person say that Tawheed and Sunnah is a footnote or a side note? You know, it's a sideshow. It's nothing important in 2025. We know enough Aqidah. We can learn Aqidah in 5 minutes. We don't have to learn. How can you say that? The foundation of the religion, the way of you going to Jannah, what the Prophet ﷺ spent his lifetime calling to, establishing, etc. And how can a person say that we have hundreds of people, thousands of Muslims, millions of Muslims in the world, and there's no political awareness, no political cognizance? There is nothing of organization that doesn't even what? Make sense. How can a person come along and say that sociology has no place for discussion for Muslims when the Quran clearly talks about politics, politicians, leaders, led society, good society, bad society, change, reform? You clearly read the Quran. Allah talks about the cities and the towns. وَتِلْكَ الْقُرَى. Those are the cities. We did what? أَهْلَكْنَاهُمْ. They were wrongdoers. So a society or a town which is wrongdoing, وَهِيَ ظَالِمَةٌ, many ayat. Allah talks about the word qarya and qura. And he talks about how he destroyed them and how he sent punishment upon them because they were what? إِلَّا وَأَهْلُهَا ظَالِمُونَ. Verse after verse after verse. So for the city to be ظالمة, for the ahluha to be dhalimun, that means that their society was what? Was backwards, was messed up. And there are people who are up top, who abused and exploited people who were down at the bottom. And the people down at the bottom, they did wrong and they blamed it on those who were up top. Allah talks about the du'afa, mustat'afin. Is this not the case? إِذْ تَبَرَّأَ الَّذِينَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ. That's talking about what? Leaders and led. And that's politics, sociology. So you can't ignore this, nor can you ignore that. So balance. Something consumes you, that's all you talk about. Good or bad, that can't be done. So I just think common sense, basic, solid common sense. Muslims in Canada, don't talk about politics. There can be no politics. All politics are haram. Voting's haram. Democracy, all right, tell you, no problem. We live, we die in this country, and then what? Our rights, our needs, our wants, they're just to be ignored and squandered? That doesn't make any sense. And what sense? How are people going to be unified if they have no principles or no basis to stand on? People are not going to stay together. You're from a country, I'm from a country, you have an ethnicity, you're older, I'm younger. There has to be something that glues us together and keeps us bonded together. And if we don't have that thing, people will split up and they'll be divided. And then of course within that there are different extremes. Some people believe that everything, we have to agree on every single thing from A to Z. And the moment we differ on one single thing, the pronunciation of one letter, the whole alphabet is useless. And that's obviously it's an extreme. That's wrong. And then there are those who believe that we can differ on core values of Islam that are agreed upon directly from the Quran and the Sunnah. And that's also wrong. So balance and moderation. And don't ever forget that common sense is a genius in work clothes. Common sense, strong common sense, that is the brain surgeon in normal greasy coverall, like a mechanic or a farmer. He's stupid, he's not smart, he's not educated. No, he's just as smart as the brain surgeon, but he's wearing what? Work clothes. So common sense, as I mentioned in the lecture, will prevent you from much misguidance and people using you and abusing you. And you being a young man, don't ever think or feel, don't ever underestimate yourself and your value, because all groups want you. These far right people, they want you. These far left people, they want you. Everybody wants you to be their follower, their number, their statistic, propagating their cause, politics, sociology, Tawheed, Aqidah. Everybody wants you. So how do you prevent yourself from being abused and being pulled and ripped and torn in different directions from these greedy gluttons? Because that's what they are. And it matters not what they call themselves. It matters not what they look like. It matters not what they say about themselves. They are greedy gluttons. They want power and control and influence. And obviously there's no power, there's no control, there's no influence without you. So you got to protect yourself from all of those people. And that is done through sincerity, common sense, you learning the basics at least of your deen, and you being sincerely trusting somebody that you feel is a good, righteous person. And if they're cheating you or tricking you, that's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So balance and moderation. That's the simplified answer. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Question is coming, as a newcomer, how can we balance maintaining and strengthening our faith while adapting and growing in a new country? Adapting, living in a country that's new to you, and your faith should be one. I have to get a job. I can't get just any job. I have to get an education. I can't just get any education. I can't get an education which is going to jeopardize my faith. I can't get a job, make a living that's going to jeopardize my faith. And a part of my faith is me obeying Allah and His Messenger. With regards to my neighbors, am I to be friendly with them, friends with them? What's the difference between friendly and friends? It's two different levels. I'm friendly with this person. It doesn't mean he's my friend. This is an associate of mine. So it doesn't mean that's my homie. That's my man, my guy, my intimate companion. Somebody I would trust. Yo, Idris, I need you to hold this for me. Take care of this for me. Somebody I know I can trust versus a brother that I'm familiar with. So every aspect of your life has to go through the filter of Islam. What you do for a living, your recreation, your vocation, your education, money, making it, saving it, earning it, has to go under the lens and the microscope of the deen. So your social life, your political life, Isaiah, it shouldn't be outside of Islam. And this is one of the tricks of the shaitan, is to separate church and state. It's to separate the mosque from the gym, the mosque from the workplace, the cubicle, the mosque from the bank, the mosque from the street corner, the mosque from so on and so forth. No, it's supposed to be all included, because Islam is not just a religion, but it's a way of life. A way of life. So working out, jogging, being fit, that doesn't go against Islam. Islam tells you to take care of your health. Islam tells you that your body is an amana, a trust. Islam tells you that there are things that you have to give back to Allah. Allah lent them to you. وَتَرَكْتُم مَا خَوَّلْنَاكُمْ وَرَاءَ. Is that in the Quran or not? Allah says, وَتَرَكْتُم مَا. You now have returned what we lent you. So taking care of your health in Islam, same. Earning a living, making good money, saving money, protecting your family, spending on your family is what? In Islam, supposed to be what? Same thing. Recreation, downtime, in Islam supposed to go hand in hand. Fashion in Islam, what? Hand in hand. I like nature. I like taking walks in the park. Today I asked the brothers, I said, where's the botanical garden in Toronto? They was like, a what? What's the botanical garden? I don't want to say no names. It's like, what the heck is a botanical garden? What is it, what? What are you talking about botanical? You talking about something else? Botanical. They didn't even know what a botanical garden was, let alone where it's at. I like to go to the park. I want to smell the flowers. That should be a part of my what? ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك أن تخلق شيئا باطلا. You are above and beyond doing things out of waste and play and jest. This flower is for a reason. This tree is put here what? For a reason. Its color, its smell, its height, its season, that's for a reason. So the moral of the story is, your life from waking up to going to sleep is in the boundaries of Islam. And when you have this awareness and you have this intention, you'll get a reward for going to the botanical garden, smelling the flowers. You get a reward for going to the gym and working out. You get a reward for minimizing the carbs or fatty foods that you eat, taking care of your health. It's a reward because you're doing it with the intention of implementing the Quran and Sunnah. So Islam is nothing more awesome than Islam, period. Every aspect of life, there's guidance from the Quran and the Sunnah. Wallahu alam. Akbar.
You just mentioned gyms. A very common issue with going to the gyms is that if you go there, it's inevitable that you will see fully dressed men and women. You will probably hear music. You will probably come across ideals regarding your body that might be arrogant. So in light of all this, is it a good idea for someone to go to the gym in the first place?
Is it a good idea going to the gym? A very good question. Well, to keep things simple, not to go on a tangent or a rant or a tirade, talking about history and so on and so forth, the history of the gym, the history of athleticism, the historical roots of the jock culture and sports culture. That's a long, long discussion. Roman or Greco-Roman. Greco-Roman. I'll give you a hint. At the end of the day, I go to the gym because I'm a little obese and I'm trying to lose some weight. I go to the gym because I'm a little skinny and I want to gain some weight, some muscle mass. I go to the gym because my wife, she like, you know what I mean? For me to be, you know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. Or a woman says that, my husband wants me to be fit and in shape, so on and so forth. Let's keep it real, let's be honest. I had a baby, my body changed a little bit, go to the gym. So people have different reasons behind going to the gym. I go to the gym because I'm single and I need to get married. I need to let off some steam. Let's keep it honest. Let's keep it a buck. I got too much energy and strength. I need to work out to prevent me from falling into something 10 times worse. So another person goes to the gym because they were bullied in school. The Muslims bullied me. I went to a Muslim school. I went to the Quran Duksi, they made fun of me because I was fat or because I was skinny or because I couldn't play, because I wasn't strong. So going to the gym helps me with my self-esteem. It helps me with my confidence. And you can make any other example of people having different intentions behind going to the gym. So these are based off of intention. What's your purpose of going to the gym? To show off, to wear tight clothes, to wear lycra and spandex, to come to the masjid with a skin-tight shirt, brother, skin-tight pants, to, wear a tight-fitting overgarment to show people on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. Or is your intention to take care of your health, to fight diabetes, cancer, whatever disease is associated with different things pertaining to the body. So the permissibility of going to the gym, the recommendation of going to the gym is going to be based off of your intention. The closer and the purer your intention, the closer it will be to it being permissible. But it doesn't mean that it's absolutely what? Permissible. I can't say I'm going to the gym to ponder on the creation of Allah. I'm going to ponder on Allah's perfect creation. Al-Khalaq al-Alim. He created her. He formed her. هو الذي يصوركم في الأرحام. So therefore I'm going to لا ليس هكذا. So I have a good intention, A, and what I'm doing is essentially permissible, B. Some haram elements involved there, C, you have more space when you have A and B. Fahimna, you got the formula or not? Good intention, working out is essentially what? Haram or halal? Essentially it's halal. And it could even be recommended and it could be obligatory. Preparing, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ إِلَى آخِرِهِ. All right? So therefore, good intention is halal. Now, there's music in the gym. Or there's women wearing skin-tight spandex leggings in the gym. Let's keep it real. We all live in this world. You know what it is. Every square inch of her body, nothing is hidden or a mystery. She's showing you everything from head to toe. This is how Allah created me. What's up? What's your position? You're moving, Idris. You're down or you're not? It's the society we live in. Men who work out, who eat, they drink protein and so on and so forth. Do they wear loose clothes? Do they? And if they wear clothes, then the clothes has to be what? Skin tight. They have to show it and flaunt it. That's a fact. That's a fact. So what's your intention? Is it lawful for you to do this? And if it's something haram in that gym, free mixing between the sexes, music, or anything else, do I have to be in this gym at this time? Or can I come at a later time or earlier time? Is there a Muslim gym? Is there a Muslim gym? Is there an alternative? Can I make my own gym? Does the masjid have a gym? And most importantly, if it's haram to go to the gym because of women and music, then going to college is also what? Women and music. Taking your kids to, do something fun is going to be what? Women and music. Going to the mall, buying something, going shopping is going to be what? Women and music. Now, and I don't disagree with you that the nature of the gym is a little different. People working out, pumping iron, sweating, moving, jumping, bouncing. It's a little different. It's a higher degree of intensity. But if it's haram to go to the gym for those things, then other things are going to be haram too. And not too many people are willing to practice that all across the board. Most of us, we are selective in what we want to stay away from and avoid. You can't do this because there's a woman there, but I can do this and there are 10 women there. That doesn't make sense. So, you have to do what's best for your soul. I go to the gym at 8 a.m., I got my eyes down, I do my reps, my workout, I have my shake, and then I'm out. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? I speak to somebody, all right, good, and that's it. I'm not socializing in there with my phone, eating, drinking, sitting around, getting too comfortable. In, out. And let me pick the best time to go in the gym when it's most likely less empty. It's not the social hour in the gym. If you do those things, then bismillah. Last thing I'll say, because I said I didn't want to go on an extensive rant, is Muslims should have gyms. We have halal meat stores. How many restaurants we have? How many halal restaurants? How many gyms? Imagine how much money that would make. A halal gym, a sunnah gym, huh? Sunnah gym, right? Or a sister's gym. A sister, you got money, you want to make some money? Open up a gym for Muslim women. We have Mufti Fulan, Sheikh Adam, he's the Mufti of the gym. He's our Islamic consultant. Everything that you see in the gym, we ran it past him first. Sheikh, can women dress this? Can they wear this? Is it permissible for them to do this? Do they need a mahram to take them to the gym? He verified everything. Your wife can come to the gym in a safe, Islamically compliant environment to work out, to preserve her health, to look better for you, to build her self-esteem, her confidence, to prevent from getting this disease, etc., etc. So, if you're unwilling to light a candle, never curse the darkness. Either part of the problem or the solution. 10 brothers get together, make a halal gym, even if it's a room. That's better than going to the gym in which is fitna, fatina, meftuna, fulana, and fulana. And the next thing you know, 20 brothers, next thing you know, we have a gym in Toronto, a halal gym, a Muslim gym. No music, no skin-tight clothes, brother side, sister side. No cameras, no phones, the salat time, you can halalify the gym. So if anybody open up a gym in Toronto, make sure I get my cut. All right? For the idea. Don't forget it. Shem, you're the witness. All right? Don't nobody come say, oh, brother Fulan gave me the idea. All right? Wallahu alam. Fadl Hassan, hayakallah.
Person being put in a state of leadership, and let's say I was going to ask, is the qualities of a leader, would it have to be some innate and then some learned, or could it all be learned? I know we can follow the Prophet's lives,
Alayhi salatu wasalam.
mention some qualities that.
No doubt, some qualities of leaders cannot be learned. They cannot be taught. Abadan. Jibillah. It's something you're born with or not. End of discussion. Certain things you naturally have, you don't know you have them, and someone pulls it out of you. So you think that it's learned, but in reality, deep down inside, you were born with it. And then there are other qualities which you didn't have and you had to learn. And thirdly, there are qualities that you were born with, but by reading, studying, and training, you enhanced what was natural. You enhanced it. So there are certain things that you're born with, but you never know until you try. Clear on that or not? So if I have a poor memory, how can I be a student of knowledge? How can I be a scholar? I write everything down. I read from my book. If my iPad dies, then I have a book in my pocket. If it's raining, if there's no lights, I have a backup. Because I can't rely on my memory. So you can work around it, inshallah ta'ala. And obviously it's a long discussion concerning leadership. Can you ask for it? Should you ask for it? Is it permissible to ask for it? Huh? اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم. Alright? Is it permissible to ask for leadership? يا عبد الرحمن بن سمرة لا تسأل الإمارة فإنك إن سألتها أو فإنك إن أعطيت عن مسألة وكلت إليها وإن أعطيت عن غير مسألة أعنت عليها. So there are many different verses in the Hadith with regards to can or can you not ask and demand, nominate yourself for leadership. And the different ayat in the Hadith with regards to running away from leadership or accepting it. Wallahu alam. Fadal. Perfection, based off of those 4 points, I'm going to learn the basics of my religion, the basics of my tawheed. Not all of the details, but the basics. And the basics of zakah and salah and hajj and siyam. The basics of hijab. I don't know all of the khilafat, but I know the basics. What all the ulama say, this is the awrah of a woman. And I'm gonna cover, I'm gonna dress in that manner. The basics of buying and selling. Can't sell pork, can't sell alcohol, can't sell anything which is haram or poisonous or venomous or harmful. Can't sell something that you don't own. I can't lend you money and then say give me back double. Those are the basics. I like business, I'm in the business, I know the basics. If and when something specific comes up, I have my what on speed dial. Got my Mufti. Yo, Sheikh, is this lawful or not? I got him on speed dial. Pay attention. Always have a knowledgeable person that you can access quickly and easily. And that's it. And then, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you implement those things that you've learned. And you call people to the basics of what you've learned and you've implemented. Not the details, not the differences of opinion, not this sheikh, brother Fulan, I learned the ABCs, come learn them with me. And most importantly, you may not be feeling it, you may make fun of me, you may say this or that, I want to be patient, I'm going to keep calling you. That's it. That's how you achieve perfection. You learning beneficial knowledge, you acting upon that beneficial knowledge, and you giving dawah to people. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable person to give dawah. Now you're out in the park debating people, arguing with people of different religions, different faiths. Where did you study? Brother Fulan knows, Jazakallah khairan. I asked you a specific question. Where did you study Islam? Brother Fulan told me I could be out here from this masjid, they gave me tazkiyah. Jazakallah khairan. Can you please tell me where you have studied? But the brother, they told me that I have to, can you answer the question please? Where have you formally learned and been trained in Islam, let alone to be a great debater? If you can't answer that question, you got no business what? Debating and arguing with people in a park or in a street corner. Handing out a pamphlet, that's a different what? Story. Passing on the information that you got, sharing a link, that's a different story. So every Muslim is responsible for the basics of da'wah. That's how you perfect yourself. The more knowledge you get, the more pious you have to be. The more pious you are, the more dawah you have to give. And the more dawah you give, the more enemies you're going to make. And the more people are going to disagree with you. And the stronger you grow, don't forget Idris the Qaeda. The stronger you grow, the stronger the forces of those who oppose you grow. That's the rule. The bigger and more powerful you get, the bigger and more powerful the hatred and the jealousy comes from your opponents. That's a rule of life. Don't ever forget that. So therefore, you have to have sabr. That's how you strive for self-perfection. And of course, there are other manifestations of it with regards to patience, with regards to not asking people for things unnecessarily, with regards to self-control, self-discipline, with regards to forcing yourself to memorize things. This is a means of you perfecting yourself. Forcing yourself to memorize it. And forcing yourself not to make a blunder or an error. You make a self-assessment. You assess yourself after you do something. So right now I traveled to Toronto. What did I leave behind? What did I forget? What did I leave out? What I could have done better. I could have prepared better. I could have. Alhamdulillah, I got to the airport on time. I got there early. I got tea, I made my salah, I had an opportunity to do this. Where's my charger? Oh man, I forgot it. Nope, I packed it. So this is just an example. If I'm making a Dawa trip, I try my best to prepare the best way I can, and I try my best to assess myself afterwards. And you force yourself not to make that mistake or that error or that blunder. These are ways of what? Perfection. Controlling your temper, controlling your anger. Anger will destroy you, inwardly and outwardly. These are ways that you perfect yourself. And of course the dua, Allahumma kama ahsanta khalqi fahassin khuluqi. Oh Allah, you've perfected my body, perfect my morals. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal. طالب العلم فريضة على كل Muslim. Is there a difference of opinion? Yes, there is. There's a long discussion concerning the authenticity of that hadith. Many ulama from the A'imma, they say لا يثبت فيه hadith. There's no authentic hadith regarding it. Whether that means there is no authentic hadith by itself, but collectively they're sound, or whether that means كلها ضعيفة معلولة لا تتقوى لا يقوي بعضها بعضا والمنكر أبدا منكر, or whether that means collectively they're still weak. So yes, there are scholars who don't accept that narration being attributed to the Prophet ﷺ, whether it was one of the Sahaba who said it, or whether it's marfu' lakin da'if. However, they unanimously agreed that it is sound, the meaning is sound. And of course there's some ulama who say that it is hasan, بمجموع الطرق. المهم, no one is going to differ. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم, يعني كأساس الأصول جملة, the fundamental principles. Every Muslim must have some knowledge regarding that. But to answer your question in the takhrij, yes, يطول فيها الكلام. والله تعالى أعلم. تفضل يا أخي. What is my father? Understood. What is my position or my opinion on the khuruj al-hakim? People protesting in the street, so on and so forth. I normally don't answer questions on khuruj, but I'll make an exception for you. Bidnillahi ta'ala. Haquq alayhi. Yani, you're my host, I'm your guest. I think first and foremost, labud and nufarriq. We have to make a difference on who is this hakim? Hakim shar'i or hakim ghayr shar'i? That's first and foremost. وإذا ما فرقت بين الشرعي وغير الشرعي لن توفق في المسألة بصراحة والله أعلم. First and foremost, legitimate versus illegitimate. Let's make an example of this. وبالمثال يتضح المقال. A woman is married to a man, legal Islamic marriage. Can she just leave the house and abandon him if he's a bad husband or evil husband? She can or she can't? She can. A woman is divorced from this man. He thinks that they're still married, but according to the law, the talaq is final. And she says, I have to leave, I'm getting away from him. What's the ruling on her doing that? Whether it's obligatory or not, but she can what? Because he's not her legitimate what? Husband. So the legitimacy is everything. Al-kalam kullu yansabu ala legitimacy. So if this ruler is illegitimate, ليس له حقوق أصلا. There's no rights. Al-Walid lil-firash walil-ahir al-hajar. So if this child came from zina, tawaruf bayni wa baynahu, ما في. There is no Islamic حقوق because the connection between me and this boy is what? Illegitimate. You pray 50 rak'ats without wudu, the salah is what? Illegitimate. So there's no what? There's no thawab, there's nothing. I can leave and walk away from it because the prayer, lam tanaqid. The prayer was never even began. Everyone understand this or not? So many people, they argue and they debate about khuruj al-hakim, and the ruler himself, nafsuhu, he's saying, I am not an Islamic ruler. We have nothing to do with Islam. It's about culture and politics. And you are going to saying he's an Islamic ruler. And he himself is saying what? كيف هذا? How does that make any sense? That makes no sense whatsoever. So that's first and foremost. In kana shari'an, he's a legitimate ruler. Then of course, you have to obey him bil ma'ruf. Not based off of Ibn Taymiyyah or Fulan and Fulan, Quran and Sunnah. You have to obey those who are in authority. وَإِن جَارُوا وَإِن ظَلَمُوا. Even if they're tyrannical, as long as they're upon Islam. They have not left Islam, you have to obey them, you have to listen to them. وَلَا يَجُوزُ لَكَ الْخُرُوجُ عَلَيْهِ. You cannot rebel against him, because the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّكُمْ سَتَلْقَوْنَ بَعْدِي أَثَرَةً وَأُمُورًا تُنْكِرُونَهَا. After me, you will have stingy, tight-fisted rulers. أَثَرَةً وَأُمُورًا إِيش تُنْكِرُونَهَا. There will be things that you would not accept, you would not recognize. The Prophet never did this when he was our leader. What do we do? The Prophet ﷺ, he clearly told them what to do. فَاصْبِرُوا حَتَّى تَلْقَوْنِ عَلَى الْحَوْضِ. The Prophet ﷺ clearly said, أَدُّوا الَّذِي يعني لَهُمْ وَاسْأَلُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي عَلَيْكُمْ أو لَكُمْ. Give them what they deserve and ask Allah for them to give you what you deserve. The moral of the story is, ash-shahid, Muslim, legitimate, patience, sabr, dua. That doesn't mean that you don't enjoin the good and forbid the evil. That's another problem. مسألة يعني يحصل خلط وخبط. الصبر على ظلم الحاكم الشرعي لا يعني عدم الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر وعدم التناصح. أبدا. You enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, giving advice. But he is the Islamic ruler. We have to be patient with him. Now, the next step in this summarized answer, is it permissible to rebel against a legitimate Islamic ruler? الذي غلب على ولايته وحكمه الظلم والجور والاستئثار بالحقوق. He's a total zalim. Not he's tyrannical, no, he's that is a deeper what? Discussion. Not to open up a can of worms, but let history explain to you what was the position of the people of the past. Was there any khuruj? Did they make khuruj? I'm not calling to khuruj. I'm not involved in no political stuff. Right wing, left wing, none of that. But we're just having a scholastic discussion now. What happened among those people? How did this dawla become established? How did the dawla fall? How did they become how did the khilafah go to them? There was some type of what? There had to be some type of what? Does that mean it's lawful? I'm not saying that. But for it to be your cardinal sin, and it's no way, and it's impossible, and كيف بالتاريخ يعني فعلى كل كأصل no. In certain situations, an exemption, certain things in which the maslaha versus the mafsada, mumkin. And if and when you're going to go against that ruler, there are shurut, there are dawabit. Last but not least, this thing I really want to focus on, wallahu alam, is protesting. Protesting in the Middle East is one thing. Protesting in the United States of America is something totally different. And most people recklessly mix the two things together. They take a fatwa from a Muslim country with this type of government and apply it to a Kafir country with a Kafir government. How can they be equal? That's first and foremost. This ruler isn't a what? Hakim Shari, period. Let alone the fact that what type of protest are you making? Does the law allow you to protest? Encourage you to speak up for your rights and to protest? And most importantly, is there anything in the Sunnah which allows a people to raise their voices with their displeasure with the Hakim? Or every single hadith against it? Some scholars say, it's not my opinion, it's not my statement. Some, if you read and study the discussion, past the propaganda and the echo chamber, Okay? إذا أردت أن تعلم خطأ معلمك فجالس غيره. The Salaf, they would say, if you want to see the shortcomings of your teacher, the mistake of your teacher, then sit with somebody else. What did Yahya bin Ma'in rahimahullah ta'ala وغيره, what did they say? مثل الرجل الذي يأخذ عن عالم واحد من عالم واحد كمثل رجل أنه امرأة إذا حاضت ماذا يصنع? They said a man who only takes from one scholar is like a man who has one wife. What does he do when she's on her period? They said this. What does he do? I.e., if you have more than one wife, then you have different options. There's only one source of your knowledge, you're only going to hear what? One thing. And in most cases, Dawa, politics, Dawa, it's going to be an echo chamber. The people are going to be saying the same stuff over and over again, preaching to the preached. And I'm going to tell you something as if it's ijma', but in reality there is khilaf. I'm going to give you the same proof and evidence as if there's no other what? Proof and evidence. And that goes back to you being exploited, the agenda. So sometimes you got to step away and you got to, let me see what Sheikh Hassan is saying. He doesn't agree with Sheikh Yusuf, they're a little different. Let me see what he's saying. He may have some what? Some dalil from Kitab and Sunnah stating what? Otherwise. Or at worst, it is a matter of ijtihad. And both groups of scholars have their reasoning, their proof and their evidence for the ijtihad. Both fatwas, both views are based off of ijtihad. There's no ijma'. There's no qata', and which is a conclusive, irrefutable conclusion. It's both of the ijtihad. So he quotes a hadith, the Sahaba. What did they do after that battle? They were successful in the battle. They slew their enemies. The hadith clearly states, وَإِنَّ سُيُوفَنَا لَتَقْتُرُ مِنْ دِمَائِهِمْ. Our swords were dripping with their what? With their blood. He gave these people 50 camels. He gave these people this amount of gold. These people, they got the captives. And we're with you and you didn't give us anything. Some of the Sahaba that were around before, the later coming Sahaba, they were angry, they were upset. Oh, Messenger of Allah, what you have done isn't what? It's not right. We fought the battle. Look at our swords. Our swords are what? Drenched in their blood, and we don't have no spoils. What did the Prophet ﷺ say to them? Don't say this to me. Don't speak up. Don't voice your displeasure. He never said that, but he said to them what? He says, are you happy with the people getting goats and sheep and camels and cows and captives, but you have the Messenger of Allah ﷺ in your tent? And that's when he addressed them, saying that the people, the Ansar, are what? Shi'ar or the dithar? The undergarments or the overgarments? The Ansar, he said they're what? An-nasu. What's the wording? Dithar or shi'ar? أيهما أقرب للبطن الدثار والشعر الناس دثار والأنصار. I'm with you. These are newcomers. I had to give them these physical material things. You got me with you in your company. A shahid min al-hadith, the authentic hadith is what? Is that the Prophet never did what? What didn't he do? He didn't criticize them for what? Speaking up and raising their displeasure with what he was doing as their leader. So, if you really want to discuss the issue scholastically, علميا بالبحث والنظر, كتب موجودة. However, most people who talk about khuruj, for it or against it, they have political bias. And they're only writing about how it's haram, it's a cardinal sin, min al-kabair, oh, khalaf madhab, that's it. And then the other people who are involved in the politics, they support someone and they're going to mention everything and anything which can be what? So you have to look at the tafsil. And at the end of the day, what makes the most sense to you? Based off of ikhlas, as I said, sincerity. I sincerely believe that it's permissible based off of A, B, C, and D. And Hisham says, la, I disagree. There's no time, there's no way, it's impossible, there's never ever a time in which there could be khuruj shar'i. هذا على حسب. أرجو أن يكون جوابي واضحا إن شاء الله. معلش أنا أطلت عليك في بعض التفاصيل لكنها مهمة. وهناك يعني غلو وقصور جفاء شديد. هناك من يغالي في التحريم وهناك من يفتح الباب على مصراعيه. اخرجوا ليس في شيء. Al-Muhim, protesting in America and Canada is not like protesting overseas. It's different. The nature of your protests. And last but not least, don't be hypocritical. A few years ago in America, people were saying when there was the Black Lives Matter movement going on, you can't protest, the cops are just shooting everybody, killing people. This person was shot at a routine traffic stop. It's haram, la yajuz, Sheikh fulan, 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 fulan. All right, no problem. I'll tell you. Mashi. But you, O Muslim, who don't support Black Lives Matter, or you're not black, do you not benefit? Have you not benefited from the civil rights movement? Are you not a beneficiary of the civil rights movement? People that did what? They had to what? They protested. They got beaten in the head with sticks. They got dogs sent upon them, sprayed down with hoses, beat up, lynched, raped, abused, just for you to open up your shop and no one to bother you. قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. You would at least give a little thanks. And if it wasn't for people protesting, you wouldn't have these basic civil rights. So how can something be so ugly, so monstrous, yet you're benefiting from it? Isn't that a little hypocritical? So many people who talk about these things, they are separated from reality. Al-waqi'. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Let's see what we have online briefly. Question is coming from initials IS from Melbourne, Australia. Do women have to wear hijab while reading Quran? What's the ruling? Jazakallah khairan, but your Jummah khutbahs are phenomenal. Thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate your kind words. May Allah make our khutbahs better. Women do not have to wear hijab when they read the Quran. It's not a shart, it's not a condition. If you feel closer to Allah, facing the Qibla, wearing a full hijab, you feel in a more pious state, then do so. And there are levels and types and times of reading the Quran. Right now, it's after Fajr. I'm waiting for Duha. I'm in my ibadah mode. Facing the Qibla, in the masjid or the musalla in my home, the kids are asleep, my husband is doing something, I'm just reading and being a pious Muslim right now. And of course I want to be in my garb. And another time, a woman, she's getting dressed and she may have a mushaf, she's reading it, reviewing it. She has a class or she's in a gathering with sisters, it's a party, and while she's sitting waiting, she reads the what? The mushaf. La mushkila. So it depends on the type of Quran reading. If you want that state of consciousness and piety, for sure, there's no question about that. But it's not a mandatory condition. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Question is coming from Birmingham, UK, initials KS. Sheikh, what is the correct balance to have when giving dawah to non-Muslims and Muslim? The Messenger ﷺ will go to a different direction to times to avoid the mushrikun of Quraysh. You give dawah to those who need it the most, those who are closest to you. And sometimes you give dawah to those who are going to listen and benefit. It depends on the situation. Those who are closest to you. Those who may not be close to you, but they need it more. And sometimes you give dawah to people that are more receptive. People that are willing to listen more. So it depends. Questions, initials MSI from San Diego, California. Assalamu alaikum. Mufti, does the Ummah of Muhammad ﷺ follow his predecessors and most of its scholars, worshippers being evil? Also because your earlier point reminded me, apologies Mufti if my questions through the live stream in the past haven't always been the best. Does the Ummah of Muhammad follow its predecessors and most of its scholars? I really don't understand the question. What's important is the Quran and Sunnah tell us about righteous scholars. And they also tell us about wicked scholars. Those who, they've sold out their souls for what? ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. That's clear as day. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. So the Quran tells us about ignorant worshippers, monks that are astray. And the Quran talks about evil heads. People who know the truth, but intentionally hide the truth or lie to mislead men, Isaiah, to agendify people. If I keep you ignorant, you'll stay with me. So I'm only going to give you just enough, like the carrot in front of the horse or the donkey. Just enough for you to keep following me, but never ever enough for you to be independent from me. There's no doubt about that. Next question says, Shelley. Next question says, essay from London, UK. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What will the Hadith Disciple Academy entail? really looking forward to it. Jazakallah khairan wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Hadith Disciple Academy, inshallah, which will be launched this fall, will entail and include structured learning, structured teaching, structured education for traditional Islamic sciences. Al-alat wal-ghayat. The tools, the auxiliary, and the actual destinations. Ilm, the madar al-ilm thalatha. 3 tiers of knowledge. Al-tafsir, al-hadith, and al-fiqh. That should be your destination. To read and benefit from tafsir, to read and benefit the books of hadith, and to read and benefit from the books of fiqh and the scholars of fiqh. Because everything is in those 3. Aqeedah comes from the Quran. Aqeedah comes from the hadiths. Halal and haram come from fiqh, come from the hadith. So those are the 3 destinations. Most of the sciences will be alat. Seerah is found where? In the Quran and hadith. Abasa wa tawalla. You have to know the word of that surah, the tafsir, and that is seerah. So usul al-fiqh, nahw al-sarf, qawaid fiqhiyya, ulum al-Quran, usul al-tafsir, mustalah al-hadith, ilm al-rijal, ilm al-takhrij, mantiq, etc. All of those things are alat. They're tools for you to be busy with kitab and sunnah. So bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you can look forward to beginners classes in usul al-fiqh, qawaid fiqhiyya, ulum, usul, all of the tools that you need to level up to the next level in the next semester. Beginners fiqh 101, beginners mustalah 101, advanced fiqh, so on and so forth. So right now, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the main classes that will be launched, hopefully by bi'idhnillahi ta'ala no later than November, will be ilmul ala, the tools. So if you've studied usul al-fiqh, you want to take usul al-fiqh 1, it's going to brush you up, refresh you, it's going to make you stronger. And studying usul al-fiqh allows you to actually study fiqh properly and to navigate through the khilaf of the ulama. I read a fatwa online, it is haram to rebel against this government. I read another fatwa online saying that it is permissible to rebel against the government. How do I navigate through these 2 muftis except through usul al-fiqh? How did he get that ruling? How did he get there? What did he base it off of? Etc. Alright, so bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the Arabic language, and of course the culture of seeking knowledge, these are all things to look out for. When the courses are done, when they're available for signing up and for subscription, we will let you know. And you look forward to the courses, we look forward to hosting you and to giving you those courses. So there will be pre-recorded courses and there will be live interaction. Also homework assignments, assessments, quizzes, and inshallah ta'ala certification by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakallahu khairan. Next question is coming from initials Abu Hafs, Sabri, Mufti. Where are you coming from? Next question is coming from OM from PC, Florida. Are there any recorded fatwa from Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu when he was appointed as the leader for Hajj at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? I don't know of any specific recorded narrations regarding Abu Bakr's rulings when he led the Muslims in the 9th year of the Hijrah and Hajj. La adri. Something I can look into. I would love to find out myself. I don't know of any. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Tayyib. Anything else from the brothers? Fadl ya akhi. Clear. Understood. Can you bring someone to become a citizen or work here, so on and so forth, coming from a Muslim country? It's a yes and a no answer. Fadal? That's a good question. All right. A country in which the most people are Muslim. A country in which there are more mosques than churches. A country in which the adhan is louder than a church bell. For argument's sake. For what? For argument's sake. A country in which the official religion of the country is Islam. A country in which the courts are heavily intertwined with the Hanafi madhab. To this very day in this country, The Qadis are Hanafis, it's well known. They're Shafi'is. The judicial, the system itself is mixed with. These are things which lead to a country being called Muslim or Islamic. And there is no one specific. ليس هناك حد معين, حد فاصل between the Muslim and non-Muslim country. كل اجتهادات يعني تقريبات. The ulama, they try their best to categorize it the best they could. على كل حال, somebody's coming from Somalia or Pakistan or India or wherever the case may be, and obviously India isn't necessarily a Muslim country, but there are regions and sections which are clearly Muslim, in which I wake up in the morning and I go to sleep only seeing what? Muslims. All the restaurants are halal, the adhan, etc. There's a Muslim quarter in China. So, can they come to the West? Can you sponsor them? From one aspect, you're helping them leave a Muslim land to a Kafir land. That's a problem. To get alcohol in Pakistan or Somalia, I'm sure there is. People get drunk wherever you go. But how easy is it? How simple is it to get drunk? To find a prostitute? It's very difficult in these countries. You're now bringing them to a place in which is what? So I have a little weakness with alcohol and with women. It's a fitna. I've been fighting it. The fact that I live in Pakistan, the fact that I live in Somalia, the fact that I live in Yemen, I could tell you stories you would never believe of people that I met in Yemen, in Medina. You would call me a liar if I told you the stories. Wallahi. In the Muslim lands, you would never believe me. True stories. Moral story is, al-maqsood, is that I'm overseas in Pakistan. My soul desires alcohol and haram women. I know it's haram, I'm working on it, I'm fighting it, but I'm weak. And the fact that all my Muslims are neighbors, all my neighbors are Muslim, the fact that people know me, and the fact that it's culturally shamed. كل هذه زواجر وموانع. Not taqwa. These things keep me from making zina and going to the brothel or the whorehouse. You bring me to Canada, to Toronto, and then what? There's no more cultural what? It's easy. And I could tell you stories about prostitutes right here in Toronto. Alhamdulillah, Salmon is not here. Ask Salmon about that night in the wintertime. It's crazy. It's ice cold, freezing cold, man. I'm talking like freezing cold, like cold, cold. You understand? We were leaving the Airbnb, getting into the car. Samir, Sheikh Samir, I can't just call him Samir anymore. Sheikh Idris, all right? MashaAllah, leveled up. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So he said, yo, Muf, I'll be right back. I said, cool. Standing waiting by the car, this lady, she walked up to me. It was one of the saddest things I've seen in my life. It was freezing cold. She was half naked. I'm talking ice, snow. I got on boots. Am I making this up? These coat, fur, whatever. She's half naked, freezing cold. She walks up to me. I know what she was or who she was. She got a little closer and she like, you know. And then when she saw how she was dressed, she said, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she walked away. When Salman came, I said, yo, what's up with this, man? He said, oh, man, I'm sorry. You know, we in the middle of, she was a such and such and she was looking for a customer. Why was that lady in the middle of the night, freezing cold, outside selling her body? In most cases, her father is dead or on drugs. Mother is whatever. She got children to take care of, look after. And that's probably the only way that she had to put food on the table. By selling herself, selling her honor in the freezing cold. What's the moral of the story? If I didn't have on a thobe, maybe she would have got closer to me. If I was a little weak, maybe, and what? Yo, Muff, where you at? I had to run to the airport really quick. I got an emergency. Sheikh, you need me to come get you? No, I'll take an Uber, don't worry. Where you at, Sheikh? Come back an hour later. Somebody needed a fatwa, So how easy is it for me to do that back in this country? And how easy is it for me to do it what? So if I have that weakness, and I fall into that weakness because it's so easy, as if you what? As if you share some of that what? Because you put me in that what? That situation. And another way of looking at it is, there's corruption in the lands of the Muslims. People drink alcohol, people fornicate. You can do that haram stuff there too. Even if it's culturally looked down upon, if you want it, you can find it. And someone who has taqwa, and someone who has self-control, they're going to have taqwa and self-control wherever they are. Let alone the fact that it may be a necessity. I have no food, I'm starving, I'm dying. The country is full of corruption. So there are different ways of looking at it. Muslims migrate into non-Muslim countries. What's important is have a plan and an agenda. I'm bringing a sheikh from overseas. The moment he lands in the airport, we're going to pick him up. We got an apartment, we got a house, we got a job. We're going to keep him busy 24/7. Versus you on your own. You figure it out. How many people would have stood that test with that prostitute that night? It was a cold night, Yaki. You might need to be warm. It's cold. Nafs is what? It's weak. إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ها هو. So everybody is not made for every situation. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Faddal. Ignorance is of two types. There's an ignorance that you have no fault in, and there's an ignorance that is a choice. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا عَمَّا أُنذِرُوا مُعْرِضُونَ فَهُنَاكَ جَهَلٌ مَبْنِي عَلَى إِعْرَاضٍ وَتَوَلِّي إِلَّا مَنْ تَوَلَّى وَكَفَرَ كَذَّبَ وَتَوَلَّى. He who turns away from the knowledge, doesn't want to hear it, جَعَلُوا أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي أَذَانِهِمْ. They didn't want to hear what Nuh had to say. They're not excused for their shirk and their kufr. The message was what? Given to them. Versus, I live in a town or a city or a country in which knowledge is scarce. Information is very scarce. And the scholars in my country, this is what they told me. And I honestly, sincerely asked them, and they happened to mislead me. So it depends on what type of ignorance. What's important is ignorance is a choice often, especially in 2025. And there's some masail حتى اليوم تخفى على الناس. تخفى على الناس. لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس. That's the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. So it depends on the type of ignorance. And obviously some things are inexcusable no matter what. There's no excuse. It's kufr akbar. There is no udhr bil jahl here. In this land, in this city, among these people, these scholars, la abadan. And there's some things in which there is al-udhr bil jahl, ala hasab. What's important is ignorant people hate to think. And from the things that ignorant people don't like is detail. Ignorant people want everything to be black and white. Because black and white is a means of control. You do this, and if not, then you're that. Versus, in this issue there is tafsir. ولا بد من تفسير. والله تعالى أعلم. فضل يا أخي. Self-defense. And have a strong immune system. It's cold outside, there are germs, there's bacteria. Have a strong immune system. And avoid places of germs and infection. So therefore, Allah gave you an immune system for a reason. There are germs everywhere. No matter how hard you try to stay from, you're going to come in contact. That's why you have an immune system. So you try to stay away from kufr and shirk and kuffar and mushrikun and fawahish and zina. Somehow, some way, it's going to what? It's going to find its way to you. Shak, doubt about the deen, the Quran this, the Hadith that, the Prophet married. This is going to come. So you got to arm yourself with at least the basics of knowledge, like learning how to fight. I'm not a fighter, I'm not a tough guy, but I know the basics of self-defense. If somebody jumped on me, I know how to kick him, bite him, scratch him, elbow, headbutt, the basics of self-defense. And the better you learn your self-defense, the more you practice, the easier it is for you to successfully get out of a fight and to protect yourself from someone transgressing the boundaries. Your soul is no different. The Quran is made up. No, you can't tell me that because I have self-defense. I have immune system. The Hadiths aren't sound. They're discredited. No, you can't say that because I've learned the basics. You can't tell me that they're made up. Islam is a religion. No, you can't say that because I've read the Quran myself and I know what Allah says about mercy and justice and peace. You can't tell me that. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a debater. but I have enough self-defense to get this mugger off of me. I'm not a tough guy. God jumped me, elbow, bit him, kicked him, spit him, something. Basic self-defense. So you have to arm yourself with the basic knowledge. And before arming yourself with basic knowledge is dua. You have to ask Allah to protect you and to keep you safe and to keep your heart firm upon His deen. And of course, the circle that you keep, the company that you keep, and how you present yourself. How much self-respect do you have? How much self-dignity do you have as a Muslim? Certain non-Muslims aren't even going to approach you the wrong way by how you carry yourself. But if they see you lacking self-respect for yourself or for your deen, they see you a little weak or sometime you're flimsy, then they'll يَتَجَرَّوْنَ عَلَيْكَ. And that's no different than the physical realm as well. Zubair, how you carry yourself, how you walk. Out of 10 people that want to test you or try you, 7 won't, just by the way that you hold yourself. You may be scared. You can't fight, but just by the way you what? By the way you walk, by the way you look. 3 people are going to test you. 3 people dealing with them is better than what? 10 or 7. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Faddal. Understood. Well, if it's something which is sound and valid, then it'll be permissible. If it's sound and valid, and if it doesn't come at the cost or the expense of your own detriment. So here is a statement from this martial artist or this one or that one. It's not in their book. I got it from different sources there. I don't have to go into, I'm grabbing the rose petal through a bunch of thorns. There are 10 thorns for me to get this one rose petal. It's a petal, but it's surrounded by thorns. We say no. Unless you're an expert rose petal picker who knows how to take it out, no scratch, no cut. The average person is going to be scratched up. As far as this is a single rose, or this is a box of rose petals that's separate from the thorns, then that's a different what? It's a totally different story. Al-hikmatu dalatul mu'min. Wisdom is the lost animal or the lost possession of the what? Of the believer. Hey, that's my horse. That's my camel. Wherever he finds it, ain't a wajadaha for huwa ahaqqu biha. That's mine. Forget Buddhists and Buddhism and this and that. That's correct according to the deen. Bruce Lee said it. That makes sense according to Islam. We don't differ with him on that. But that doesn't mean that I'm now going into all of the Buddhist books and to the Buddhist temple and to the Taoist temple and reading and studying the Taoist books, versus I came across a statement of the Taoists, the concept of yin and yang, hot and cold, soft and hard, north and south, big and small, balance and imbalance. Accepted Islamically or not? Which of the two? Yes or no? لا شك في ذلك. فمنكم مؤمن ومنكم. It's clear. There's easy, yusra, and then there's usra. There's imbalance, okay? Infiru khifafan wa thiqalan. So that is basically, that's not a foreign concept to Islam. Whatever you call it, yin and yang, doesn't matter. Travel lightly or travel heavily. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit with a Taoist and study for 10 years just to get one gem. Understand? So it depends on what it is, the need. It depends on the benefit, and it depends on what you have to do to get it. And that's pertaining to philosophy, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, Aristotle, fulan, and fulan. Inshallah. And it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that they say just because you take one quote or one benefit. Clear? That's in brief. It depends on the person and what type of person you are. But in general, you avoid things which are doubtful unless you have the solid, sound knowledge, unless you have really good self-defense and a strong immune system. And even then, you proceed with caution. You don't go to the area of plague without a mask or gloves, even then. But someone who knows how to handle blood in the laboratory is not like someone who what? Doesn't know how to handle it. Is this not the case? A butcher, he has the saw. He knows how to what? How to move it, and it's still what? Still dangerous. That's not the same as someone that's going to try to cut the meat and takes his whole arm off. So the butcher handling it isn't like the what? The lay. the layman. It's a tafsir, yani, it depends. Fadl ya akhi. How do you gain sincerity? How do you know that you have it? One of the ways of getting it is making your public life no different from your private life. Right now I'm speaking. How many people in the masjid? Are people online watching me? This person gives me, mashallah, blah, blah, blah. Would I be doing this class at 12 a.m. if it was just me and you? You have to ask yourself that question. Would I be here if it was only brothers or their sisters listening? Istiwa al-sirri wal-alaniya. This is one of the ways that you can establish ikhlas as you keep it. Would I do this if such and such? I'm going to give dawah to a woman. She's a pretty woman, a young pretty woman. Or she's old and very unattractive. Would I give her dawah? Or would I just walk past her? Would you give her dawah or not on the train? She's young and beautiful. You're going to rush to call her to La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Versus this woman is not like her. She's too tall, she's too short, she's too this, she's too that. How many of us would stop and give the lady dawah? Or answer her questions about Islam? Proving that you don't have full 100% what? Ikhlas. Young, pretty, you stop, no problem. What question do you have about Islam? Tell me. You want to know about Islam? How do you become a Muslim? Just repeat after me. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. No doubt about that. She's not that attractive. She's not that appealing. Go to the mosque. They'll tell you about it. Practice that. Put that in practice. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Fadl akhi.
Female Islamic influencers, like their fitna is well known and they cause a lot of problems. But at the same time, a constant thought I have is that if they did not exist, then people go online to find people to look up to anyways. And if there was not someone who has at least a little bit good, they may take non-Muslims as role models. So what's the best way for women to find
The balance, if there's any. Clear. This is our last question tonight, inshallah. Brothers may be a little tired. Got to get some rest. It doesn't matter to me. I got my tea. I can be up until the morning. At the end of the day, we were just talking about this the other day coming from the airport. And I've been asked this question many times over the years. My answer now is my answer then. Once again, it depends. What do you mean by influencer or speaker? One of the most important conditions, if you're talking about dawah, like knowledge, then the woman has to know what she's talking about. I'm not talking about nobody specific right now. I'm not taking no shots at nobody specific right now. However, many women, when they speak about Islam online or in person, they don't know what they're talking about. And they haven't studied. If there was an Islamic conference and there was a sister speaking to both men and women publicly, and she was quoting the ayat and the hadith and Ibn Kathir and Qurtubi and this and that, and there was another sister up there just talking about, love Allah, blah, 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 emotions, blah, 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 blah. Let's say for argument's sake, Shamli, that I disagree with both of them being public speakers. Neither of the two should be doing it. But would I be as quick to say, get off the stage to the sister quoting Ibn Kathir? Of course I wouldn't. If she quoted Sahih Bukhari, Hafiz ibn Hajar said, what would I do? In most cases, I would what? Turn a blind eye, I would keep walking. Just because she's actually, what? She's spitting. She's bringing some facts, some beneficial information versus a bunch of emotional fluff. Men, I don't want to say no names, nor do I want to take shots at people. Most men don't have no content in what they're saying, just talking. And many men have emotional fluff. Just marshmallow, just nothing. Blah, 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 blah. No fawaid, no nothing. They can't give you anything. Empty. So if it's a sister, you don't even take seeking knowledge seriously yourself. Where you studied at? Where you benefited from? I studied in Egypt. I have this qira'ah. I memorized this metin. MashaAllah. You shouldn't be speaking, but for argument's sake is what? It's close as versus kalam farigh, falti. So the first and most important condition for the permissibility of women being public Islamic speakers is that they have to have ilm, just like the men have have ilm. And many women, if not most of them, if you look at their public Islamic talks and their speeches, it's void of what? Knowledge, and they aren't knowledge seekers. It's a problem you being a woman versus you being an ignorant woman. Fahimna? You have to take knowledge seriously. You want to be equal with men, but you don't want to put in the work that the what? That the men put in. This sheikh is a Hanafi sheikh. He actually has ijazah in all of the Hanafi books. He went here, he studied Qadi Khan, this book, Fulan, Mabsut, he studied everything, right? He didn't Hanafi, he put in the effort. I may differ with him. He may be Maturidi. He may have this, he may say fiqh, Hanafi, so on and so forth. But my respect for his pedigree is going to keep me at what? At bay. Because he is a sahib tahsil, talab. He was in Pakistan, he went to Turkey, he's actually studied in a Hanafi institute. Versus somebody that's coming saying a bunch of, I'm going to have more respect for that person. Secondly, how is the sister dressed? I walk into the lecture hall, a sister is talking, she's quoting the authentic hadith with the correct understanding, and she's covered properly, with or without niqab and gloves. Intabihu. She's wearing gloves and niqab versus her face and her hands are out, but her overgarment is wide, it's loose, there's no makeup, there's no eyebrows, this and that. My inkar with the sister that's dressed properly is going to be totally different than the sister who's speaking in her arm is like what? You see, no alim said that can be seen. Face and hands, different story. Who said that the forearms can be seen by non-mahram? Overgarment is tight. Your khimar isn't covering yourself. You get me or not? Point number 3. A woman who's speaking with emotional composure versus a woman who's raising her voice, and we today and that, raising her. My disagreement with these two sisters is going to be less with what? The one who's speaking with what? So every time these boxes are checked, it's closer to what? Permissibility. And the more boxes are unchecked, the closer it is to impermissibility. You can easily say haram, no woman can publicly speak. Tell you, no problem. And you can easily say it's halal, of course it's permissible. Me, I think there has to be detail. Who are you speaking to? Is there a need for you to speak? What are you saying? How are you dressed? What type of content? What are you promoting to Muslims? All right, last but not least, this is very important. Let's not talk about anything Islamic, ilm and Dawa. I'm a sister online. I have followers on TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, my website, live stream. And I'm just an influencer. I do hijab tutorials. I do hijab makeup tutorials. How to wear makeup as a Muslim sister. Islamic fashion. Not a full overgarment, these loose pants, blah, blah, blah. Rings, jewelry, etc. Let's keep it real. On YouTube. So, am I calling these women who watch me to have some type of Islamic identity? Or to be uncovered? And it doesn't matter whether you wear hijab or not. Hijab is in your heart. Allah will love you whether you're naked or whether you're covered up. Or am I calling women to don't be scared and don't be afraid to what? To wear khimar. New shahada. You accepted Islam with these people. Your understanding is weak, but at least there's what? For me, wearing a khimar in my country, my family, I'm an outcast. In this city, there are no hijabi, gloves, and niqab. A woman being on a train with an overgarment is like burqa. So you have to be realistic with the level of the people. Some Islam is better than what? No Islam. If conditions were better, then of course you have no business doing this. But in light of the current situation, this sister having a hijab tutorial is better than the woman with her hair uncovered. There's no question about that. This sister who wears a long shirt and wide pants is better than the sister who's wearing tight pants and saying that faith is in the heart. Or even worse than that, hijab is chauvinistic. Hijab is an Arab custom. There's no verse in the Quran telling you to wear hijab. Every verse in the Quran talking about hijab is talking about the Prophet's wives in a specific time, 1400 years ago in Arabia. Are there people who talk like this or not? There are many of them. How many followers do they have? How influential are they? So there has to be some counterweight to that scale. And that is Sister Fulana with the hijab tutorial with some makeup on her face. Is it best? Of course not. Is it sound and most correct? Of course not. Who's watching Sister Fulana do that hijab tutorial? Niqabi, burqa sisters? No. But everybody in the world isn't a what? Everybody don't have that level. And the same applies to a beard. Can I join the military? Can I be a firefighter? Can I be a police officer? I have to shave my beard. How many Muslims shave their beards? If not most. So therefore, the brother who has a shaven face, but he has some type of Islamic identity, he's representing Islam, is better than the one who has nothing. And everybody, let's keep it real, is not going to have a beard. So if I already shave my face, then why can't I be a firefighter? Because my face is already what? It's haram to be a firefighter because you can't grow a beard. You can't have the mask on. How much sense does that make to a brother who's already what? Already shaved. Whether I'm a firefighter or not, I'm a what? So why not be a? And my name is Rahman Akbar. Rahman Nimatullah. Nimatul Islam. Nimatul Rahman. Inatul Rahman. That's my name. And I pray. And I fast. And that's a real name. All right? Let's keep it real now. All right? Akbar Ahmed. Rahman, whatever, right? It's as clear as day. I pray, I fast, and I give some type of Islamic representation. Everybody's not on the level of sunnah and ilm and everybody's not there. So I wouldn't condone it. I wouldn't allow it. But at least she's bringing some balance to the force. Balance to the force. You clear this or not? So that's the tafsil I would give. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. With him is all success. If I said anything which is correct, then it's only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if I said something which is wrong and it's from my own ignorance, Allah is free from it. His messenger is free from it. And Masjid Khalid bin Walid is what? Free from it. And all you brothers, Hisham, hopefully you'll be free from it as well. Inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak. Ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad. Thank you. Jazakallahu khairan. May Allah bless you all and give you all the success. Ameen.